What's up, peeps? Your boy Ricky Funes. Welcome to another episode of Tengoose Boxing Talks. Today we have a special guest. He is one of the biggest personalities in radio, and he's a good friend of mine. I call him Papachon, El Piolín. What's happening, Piolín? How are you, brother?
What's up, Papuchon? I'm so excited, man. This is amazing place, Papuchon. I mean, I love this place, man. Feels so nice, friendly, cozy, bro.
Homie.
Yes, I love it, man. So, who built this an amazing studio?
Papachon, it's been over a year ago. Me and Christian helped me choose the cameras and everything. I got motivated by this guy named American Cholo. Took me into a podcast, and I said, you know what? I know a lot of people. I must see. Even though I know a lot of people, doesn't mean they're gonna come and talk to me. You know what I mean?
That happens to everyone, Papuchon.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Why not?
Yeah, that's what happens, to everyone. I mean, not everybody's gonna say yes, but at the end, I mean, if it God wants it, it's gonna happen. If not, something else is gonna be, coming up after them. Papuchon. That's part of that's part of the media, bro. Entertainment and boxing. I mean, some of the friends are gonna say yes. I can come to your podcast, but if they cannot come, maybe they have other things. But then later they're gonna ask you, "Can I be in your podcast?"
Yeah, it's it's true, Papachon. So my audience, mostly they're boxing fans, and a lot of people don't know who you really are. And I know you're involved in boxing a lot.
I love it.
You, and I would love them to know who El Piolín is. I know you're one of the biggest personalities in radio. You have your own radio talk show, and you helped a lot of La Raza, a Latinos. I know you donated millions of dollars to help people fix their immigration papers. And I know you did a couple movies. I didn't know that. I know you did Mama Duke and you did Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Yes.
I didn't, come on, Papachon.
He got prepared for this
Uh,
interview, man.
Papachon, I didn't even know that. Three movies: Mama Duke, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and the other one is
The other one, well, the Muppets.
The Muppets.
The Muppets.
The
And there's a
Muppets.
few more. There
Wow,
was a Muppets, Papuchon.
Papachon, tell us about you, man. Tell me where you come from, and when you got here to the States, you're like every other Mexican that wants to triunfar.
Yeah, that's right, Papuchon. You know what? I am from Ocotlan, Jalisco. It's an amazing town close by Guadalajara, Jalisco. It's like an hour away. And I was born there. And I started loving boxing because of my grandpa. My grandpa used to be a boxer in Ocotlan, Bartolo. And then my uncles, they were boxers too. That's why I started like fall in love with boxing. Even though it was hard because my mom, she was like, "No, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna stay away from that sports," because she was suffering a lot when my grandpa was fighting. My mom was like, crying most of the time. So my grandpa was like, "No, you cannot come with me, mija, because you always crying, and I cannot see you crying next to the ring when I'm boxing." And my mom was like, "No, you're not gonna go through that route." And what I used to do to go and train in one of the gyms in Ocotlan, Jalisco, I used to we used to have like a small patio at the house, but it was not easy to just throw my backpack over the wall because there was another home, so I had to go to my neighbor, and I used to tell Javier, can you do me a favor? I'm gonna throw my bag over the wall, and then can you give it to me? I said, "Why are you gonna do that?" Because my mom doesn't want me to go to the
The boxing gym.
boxing gym. And, and I was like, "Can you do this?" "Of course, I can do that, but just be careful, man. If I don't want, nothing to happen to you, because it happens to you something, then your mom's gonna come to me." And I know your mom, that she's ready to tell me things if something happened to you. So yes, no, nothing's gonna happen. So most of the time, when I used to do the sparring, yeah, there's some golpes and
Yeah.
moretes. So I used to just I was trying to make sure that my mom was already asleep, so she doesn't see me, with
With
my
bruises.
bruises in my eye,
Yeah.
kind of close, the right one or the left one, and I used to just get in, trying to make sure that she doesn't wake up, and that's the way it was. And then once I remember, I was fighting against another guy from Ocotlan in La Plaza of Ocotlan, and I remember, I mean, my mom found out, and she was really upset. She was
Wow.
really upset that I was fighting. She said, no, your grandpa already did that, and you're not gonna go through that. But I love boxing, man. I think I love all the sports.
Yeah.
I think in life you have to make sure that there's five things that you cannot stay away from you. I think one is, I believe that is God in your life.
Mhm.
The second one, I believe that is working out. Your family working out, taking care of what you eat.
Yeah.
I've been learning this, on the latest years. And another thing is like always, learn something new.
Yeah.
That is important, that
Always.
you
You're
have to
always
do.
learning.
You have to, bro. There's no way, especially right now with the media, with the social media and all that. Everything goes so fast,
Oh yeah.
and you have to surround with great people, that wants to teach you new things.
Yeah.
And that's what I see with you, bro. That
Oh,
you
thank you.
opened your gym, and I remember that when you opened your gym, there was people that, man, they have no experience, and you make the time to speak to them and talk about boxing.
Yeah.
And I see that from you, so I admire, that you take the time to do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I admire you because I still remember how I met you the first time was I think it
In
was
jail, no?
you were my bunkie. I remember we were in Vegas and I think it was Guadalupe Valencia who was Ryan Garcia's
Yes,
manager and
yes,
Chavez who hired me to train Chavez Jr.
yes.
introduced us and we started talking about Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, who's another good friend of mine.
Great friend, yeah.
And you and I got acquainted and we became friends and you came to work out at the gym and I always heard about you but then after that, I started bumping into you at the fights. I saw you at the press conference. I go, okay, this guy is damn all over. So I didn't know what a personality in the radio. I just found out you were in the Hall of Fame in 2003. I didn't even know they had a Hall
You
of Fame
study,
for.
vato, no marches.
Yeah,
You got
I
prepared.
well, I'm
Great
trying.
job.
Yeah, I didn't know they had an inductee Hall of Fame for radio. Would you consider yourself a jockey?
Well, you can,
Well, personality.
DJ, radio announcer. Some of the people, they just say the jockey. I mean, there's different names,
Yeah.
for my career. But you can call me anything, brother.
So right now we're gonna get back to this, but this is what I want to ask you. So now you were boxing. Your grandfather was a fighter. What year did you come here into the United States? That like this is a new land. I go. What am I gonna do? What? How did you get here?
Well, my dad was the first one that came here because he wanted to, look for a better life for us, for the whole family. And my dad, I mean, one of his dreams of my dad was to have a studio, a photograph studio, like take pictures for
Photographer. Yeah.
weddings, photographer for waiting, for, quinceañeras and all that. And it was, you know what, this remind me, your studio, brother, a little bit about my
Your
dad's
dad.
dream.
Really?
Because, yeah, it was kind of like the same size of this one. And he wanted to have one close by the Mercadito of Ocotlan, and he was able to make his dream come true. But he always wanted to help other people. I
Just
mean,
like you
that's
do.
my dad, bro. I mean, I believe that that's why, we learn, my brothers, my two brothers, Choboy and my brother Jorge. Um, we learn a lot from my dad because my dad used to walk through the streets of Ocotlan and he will see somebody that needs help. He will stop
Yeah, help him.
and help that person.
You're gonna make me cry right now, man, because you know the story.
Bro, and you know what? I mean, I was like probably 7 years old, 8 years old. And I used to tell my mom, my dad, man, I don't want to go with my dad to a mercadito because he stopped with every people. And you know what happens? I do the same thing most of the time.
Yeah.
And that happens to me. So then my dad was like, you know what? I think I need to go to El Norte, to the United States. And I was in La Secundaria, I believe, kind of like high school
High
here.
school.
And I didn't understand why. I mean, I knew that we didn't have, a lot of things like, money or.
Yeah.
I remember my dad was, I was talking about that on the radio this morning, that I was telling that my dad, to be able to to build his home, he started buying first, Papuchon, the sand, and then the cement, like small bags of cement. And he was just stacking where we used to rent, stacking those um, cement bags.
Hmm.
And I remember I asked him, why are you doing this? Oh, because one day I'm going to be able to build our home.
Wow.
But he started like that, bro. And I'm like, man, now I understand, how hard he was trying to make his dream come through. And then, so he comes to the United States. And I remember that it was really hard because I stayed with my mom and then with my little brother, that's Chavoy, who works on radio too. And he does English. So I remember that I was like, man, I don't have my dad anymore. I used to go play soccer and I used to run marathons and all that. And everybody was, the parents that were there and
Yeah.
my dad was not there.
Because he was working?
No, because he came to the United States.
Okay, got you.
So I was in Mexico
Okay.
still with my mom, my younger brother, my older brother came with my dad. And most of the time before we used to receive like money orders,
Hmm.
So my dad
I
would send
remember.
like a probably, I don't know, maybe like $50 per month.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends in Ocotlan, I mean, he became my best friend was the mail guy
Or
because I was
because he was
waiting.
waiting for the
I
mail.
was waiting for the mail. He's one of my best friends, and so that's why I used to like follow him. Hey, do you have a letter from my dad? Because at that moment, that was the only way
Yeah.
to communicate with us, and if he were here, so sometimes my dad will send a letter saying, you know what, I don't have a job right now in the United States, so I cannot send you guys money, but I'm looking for a job. And I started understanding, like, man, I want to go help him.
Yeah.
I want to go there. When you're there in Mexico, you don't understand how life is here.
Everybody thinks it's easy.
Yes, the struggles that you go through. My
Hmm.
dad was working on landscaper. He was working on construction company. He was trying to find a way to really provide for us.
Yeah.
So that's when I talked to my dad and I said, I want to go over there so I can help you. He's like, no, it's too dangerous to cross the border. Because you need to have a lot of money in Mexico to be able to apply for a
A
visa.
visa.
No? And I said, I want to go try it. So you don't understand what it takes to cross the border.
Correct.
And it's really dangerous. So I said, Dad, if you don't help me, I'm gonna do it by myself. I'm gonna figure out. So I remember I was probably like maybe like 16 years old. And I said, I'm gonna do it. So he's like, no, let me help you. I mean, I'm gonna figure out, how can I get the money so you can come over here. So I came to Tijuana, and then from Tijuana, I remember that I had there was a few people, one of the small rooms in the hotel, just waiting for directions.
How
Like,
to
we're
get
gonna,
across.
yes, bro. And then I remember that they teach us by like, hey, when we say El Mosco means the helicopter from the immigration.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of those words. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about it. And I said, the Moscow, what the heck? What's that? So yeah, they explained to me, and they give you directions like, hey, if you see a big light, just put your body down.
Of
Do
course,
not look up because they can see your eyes through the reflection
of the lights and the
of the
red.
lights and all that. So then that's when it was really. I feel like I was afraid of that, because that was like, oh man, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
This is what my daddy used to tell me, that it's not easy to cross the border,
Of course.
and that was really.
So you experienced that, what
Oh
he was trying to warn you not to go through.
yes, brother, and that's
And
what
we're knuckleheads sometimes.
most of the parents. That's what they try to do. Like, hey, no, because it's hard, but you don't understand that.
Yeah.
So that's when I crossed the border. But it was not easy. It was dangerous and a few times. And when I was able to cross the border, I remember that as soon as I came to Santa Ana, California, Orange County, to live in a small room with my uncle and my aunt, Nena and Manuel, I remember that it was, I mean, I had to go on the trunk of the car after walking and running,
And being
hiding.
dirty, smelly, everything, huh?
Brother, no, 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 no. And then there was like two people in the trunk and myself in the trunk after we just passed through different hills and hiding. And I remember that when I when I came down, when I just got out from the trunk of the car, I said, you know what? I'm not coming to waste my time to the United States.
You come into work, you kind of a triunfar.
I was like, bro, you know what? At that moment, I didn't have that word that I used, that a triunfar, like
Yeah.
now we have that phrase always that we tell my listeners.
Correct.
Remember, we came to the United States to triumph.
Yeah.
Venimos a triunfar. That's why we're here. Do not lose focus. That was the main point to come to the United States.
Yeah.
So please behave yourself and come and work and do not forget about your family over there. That sometimes
That's all
you leave your
send,
family.
yeah.
Yeah, because my mom stayed there, my younger brother, Chaboyo stayed there, and so I told my dad, when I hugged my dad, I said, now I understand what you were telling me that it was so dangerous
Wow.
to cross the border. And I said, Dad, you know what? I'm ready to work. And I asked my aunt, uh, I asked her, what is the first job that I can get right away? Because we need to help my mom now and my younger brother. And Tia Nena, told me that you can recycle cans. You can start getting money.
Yeah.
So that's what I did right away. The next day, bro,
Right away.
I started, going with my cousin to different stores, and we started like going to the trash cans behind the liquor stores. The big.
Where they throw the big dumpsters.
Yes, brother,
Yeah.
and that's what I was. Before I was thinking like, oh, she's making a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that you can recycle.
Yeah.
That was at that moment where nobody was doing anything about recycling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started doing that. I got my plastic bag, and I started putting different types of cans.
Did you get the can and stomp on it?
Yes,
I
brother.
used to do that with my mom. That's why.
Yeah, because everybody told me that as soon as you step on the can, then
And it
it will
makes
be
more heavier.
heavier. And I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna do it. I mean,
Yeah.
and those are the things I started learning, and I say, you know what, I had to do that. But I'm so glad that we go through struggles like that because now
You appreciate
I
it.
appreciate, brother. I think a lot of people we feel like, oh man, life is not so good for to me, and we have to go to through struggles.
Struggles.
Because if not, brother, I mean,
It comes easy.
life does not have flavor without those struggles.
You're right.
Mhm.
So you were 17
Yes.
after picking cans up, Piolín. I know in your mind you say, I gotta get better. What is it that you say? What am I gonna do next? Okay, I started picking cans. I have to do something better. How to make a career? How did you get to do into the radio?
Well, I started, cleaning apartments at maintenance
Mm-hmm.
in Irvine, and then I was MC for some of the weddings because my dad used to do extra job besides his regular job. One of the bookstores, he used to be a photographer for weddings here too. So I remember that my dad, he used to be like the MC for the wedding. He was the photographer. He was, I mean,
He was
would
everything.
he would do everything just to get a job.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, you know what? I need you to be the MC at the wedding.
And when you say MC, meaning like the DJ or
No, MC, I mean, for me, is like announce, the parents so they
Gotcha.
can dance, the
That-
dollar
and-
dance that they do, and to present the padrinos, the godfathers.
you'll be kind of the host talking.
Kind of like the host, correct. So I remember that he started writing some of the notes, and I start doing it. And I remember that my dad was like, "Hey, how do you feel?" I said, "I feel nervous. I don't know what to say." I said, "Oh, just follow what I wrote to you on this paper and just follow that." And I start feeling like, man, I like this. After I did it like once or twice,
Twice.
then I say, I like this, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, losing myself, like
Yeah.
trying to make some of the jokes and with at the party, and then I have because I was helping my dad to carry all the cables and the cameras and
Yeah.
all that, and that's when I started like, man, I like to do this, and I started knocking doors because my dad used to, actually, my dad was the one that opened, my door to go into the station because he will always ask the radio announcers, "Hey, my son wants to become a
DJ.
DJ or radio announcer, and he doesn't know how." And my dad always, brother, he was, if there was a door closed, he will open
Open
it.
it.
He would do that,
Is
man.
your father still with us?
No, no, he's in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in
How
heaven.
long ago did you pass away? Piolín?
Probably like 3 years now.
What?
3 years now. Yeah.
So
Yes.
soon, man.
Yes, brother. It was really hard because that's you never prepare yourself to lose a dad or mom. You never do that.
Shit.
Yeah.
You got me water.
No, and still painful.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough, Patron. You got me in tears because, you know,
Hmm.
I still have my dad, and I haven't spoken to him like on and off for like 2 years. But damn, I still my mom. Thank God. Damn.
Yeah. No, talk to him, brother.
Whew. But
Don't
yeah,
waste time.
so he opened up. Your dad wants the best for you. He opened up the doors to go to the jockeys and ask you, Papachon, my son wants to be a DJ. He wants to do this.
Yes. I mean, he was talking to Jaime Piña. Jaime Piña is one of the best radio announcers.
Okay.
He one Saturday, I remember I went into his station because my dad talked to him, and I said, "Hey, my name is Eddie, and my dad told me to come over here." And he said, "Yes, I remember I told you, Daddy, you can come." And Jaime Piña told one of the guys that works on the radio, he's like, "You know what? Can you please put on the studio and let him practice to record commercials?" And that's what I did. And then I started, meeting other people on the radio, Humberto Luna, and then Renan. Um, I remember Ramon Valerio, Ricardo Manzanares, Fernando. So there was people on the radio that my dad will meet
Yeah.
because sometimes they would hire my dad for festivals
Uh-huh.
that the radio station used to do in Santa Ana, like Cinco de Mayo and all those big events
Yeah. Yeah.
with big artists, like Don Francisco will come
Oh, wow.
from Florida. I mean, amazing comedians too. And I remember that that's the way my dad was trying to connect me. And I believe thanks to the Lord and thanks to my dad,
Yeah.
I am working on the radio.
Wow. Is that where Papachon you started coming up with your? You said earlier you was trying to make people laugh at a wedding or quinceañera or whatever it may be. You started making jokes. Is that where you started pranking people on phone calls?
Yes, brother. I wanted to find out exactly what I was um, wanted to have on my show.
Yeah.
So I remember that I was knocking doors in different stations, and they always will tell me you don't have experience enough
Yeah,
to
correct.
be on the microphone, on the radio, working. So I said, how am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me opportunity?
Yeah.
And I'm
Exactly.
I'm willing to be here, without pay.
Yeah.
And I did that for so many years without getting a dollar, brother.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, because I was grateful to the people that let me just go there and
And watch
learn
and learn.
and watch. I remember that I used to bring like taquitos or hamburguesas, just to say thank you. And they
Yeah.
say, you know what? I mean, you don't have money. Why are you gonna say I'm grateful that
I'm
you give me
grateful.
opportunity? I was grateful. I was trying to figure out a way to say thank you
Thank you.
for
Appreciate it.
yes, because not a lot of people give you an opportunity like that.
Correct.
And I believe before it was harder, to get into
Into the
radio.
radio business.
So that's why. And then when I try one of the stations in Corona, California, next to Riverside, I remember that there was an AM station,
Mm-hmm.
Radio Mexico, and the program director was looking for a news director
Okay.
or news guy. And he asked me if I knew about that, if I had experience, and I said yes. I didn't know
Even though
any,
nothing.
brother. I didn't know anything. He's like, okay, just come over here. It was the December 24th, December 23rd, and then December 24th. He's like, but tomorrow is gonna be Christmas, and I don't care. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I want
I
to be
want to.
there. And so he said, just come over because I think the news guy, went for vacation to Mexico. No, he was fired. I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so I'm like, okay, so it's gonna be um, uh, a nice ride for a week. It's okay, I will do it. So I remember that I went that night, and he was like, okay, so do you have chance to stay here so you can do the news for the morning guy tomorrow? And I said yes. So I stay in the car because I didn't have enough money to go back
Back
from
and forth.
Riverside to Santa Ana with gas. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay there. So I stayed there, and I remember I went to the one of the parks there close by, and I had to wash my face in one of the fountains that
Yeah.
they have at the park.
Uh-huh.
And I slept in the car, and then I went to the bakery to bring some
Some
pan,
pan and
pan mexicano,
yeah.
to be grateful the guy, the guy that was the morning guy there. And I remember that the first time that he opened the mic for me to give the news, it was the worst nightmare of my
For
life.
yourself.
Oh man, he was
Re-
upset with me. Like, who are you? You don't even know what you're saying. Uh, he was really upset with me.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
remember that I was asking, like, do you want coffee? You want this? I'm sorry, you know what? I'm gonna be better for the next hour. And I was nervous, man. I
Yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah. Bet,
shaking
yeah, like
myself, and because he was really upset, and he had the right to be upset. But at that moment, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So what am I getting into? But then I stayed there for almost a whole day, and I was to go clean the apartments at that
uh-huh.
moment, and then I go back and I stay in the car again to practice.
Yeah.
So I got more time to practice, and that's what I did. I mean, and then I remember that one day um, they let me do like presenting music
Uh-huh.
from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And then I had to be ready to do the news at 6 o'clock in the
Wow.
morning.
Damn.
So I had to stay there. And I remember that when I was playing the music one day, I mean, there was a big like tornamesas. The
The
tornamesas,
turntables. The
yeah,
turntables.
turntables, yes, the
Yeah.
turntables. And I was playing, I think it was Antonio Aguilar or Vicente Fernandez. And I went out to the car to get some of the bread. Nobody was inside the station. The door got locked.
Oh my God. You
I,
locked yourself out.
I had to break the window from the restroom to go
Wow.
in. When I went in, bro, I cut myself all over
Oh
the
my.
place because I was like shaking, afraid. And then I was cleaning myself in the morning. I'm like, how am I supposed to do it? I'm just gonna see somebody else, probably throw a rock or something happen. And that's what I said, bro. I had to do that
Wow.
because I was afraid I was gonna get fired. The
Wow.
second day of my job on radio.
So that was the beginning of your career.
Yes.
You consider being the biggest personality where it's at right now?
Well, yeah, that was one of the steps to get into radio, brother. That was, and then I just moved to I moved to Santa Ana. It was Radio Éxitos, 1480 at that time.
AM?
Yes, and then what happened was I didn't have papers, so they found out, and I had you know, I lose my job because of that.
Oh, you lost your
I
job.
lost my job, bro. Yeah,
Wow.
and I was going to high school, Saddle High School in Santa Ana. At that moment, I was working in different places, car wash, uh,
Anything that came.
anything, brother. Because I mean, that's the only way I was able to pay rent, help my dad, help
Yeah.
my mom, and that's what I did, bro. And then after that, I mean, I went to Oxnard. And I wanted to change my name.
Did you really?
I wanted to change my name because my name was already in Santa Ana. There was a few newspapers that I think was Farandula. the newspaper, they already start mentioning my name.
Eddie.
Yes,
Eddie.
Eddie Piolin Sotelo. And I'm like, man, what am I supposed to do? Because Piolin is a nickname,
Okay.
Tweeterberg. And most of the people in high school, they used to call me Piolin, Piolin, Piolin.
Why Piolín?
Because before I was skinnier
Oh,
and my head was big.
and now you're buff, man. Look at you.
I'm trying, Papuchon. Every day, Papuchon. Hey, when you don't have face for TV, you have to work out. Because I have face for radio. So that's why, brother. I mean, I went to Oxnard and I work on the afternoons, and then I went to after that I got an opportunity in Sacramento to do my first time in the morning show in a news station in Sacramento,
Ah, shit.
and then after that I mean I just jumped
It's just rolling. Started rolling.
from San Jose. In San Jose, I believe that Sacramento was an amazing city too, where I started like growing with my show, and then I went to San Jose and keep growing with my show and learning more, getting more experience. And then that was when one of the companies invited me to come to LA. And I was afraid in LA. I was really afraid because the competition in LA
It's huge.
is huge, bro. It's huge
Is
and
that where El Piolín en la Mañana began?
yes. Well, it was already since San actually no Sacramento. I think it was Sacramento.
That's where El Piolín en la Mañana started.
Piolín started in
Began.
Sacramento in the morning.
Okay.
Yes.
And then here,
And then here in LA, and then we syndicate the show since San Jose, and then in another company here in LA. Mhm.
man. So what motivated you to start crank calling people, Piolín?
Brother,
How would you get these people? And because I've been there live, I was there one time. You invited me
yes.
actually, and I still want to thank you right now. I always want to thank you because when I opened up my barbershop, you invited me to your show. But you invited me, you were crank calling somebody that
Sí.
morning. "¿Y este güey qué está? What is this guy doing?" You know, it was
Está
funny because
loco.
yeah, está loco. I go, how is this guy gonna crank call right now? Somebody. So, but people believe this, man.
Yes, no. I mean, that's the way we try to make people laugh too. To have fun, and that's why I wanted to have a fun show, but at the same time, helping our community.
Yeah.
Because
Tell us a little bit more of that. That I know you've done a lot of charity. I know you helped a lot of immigrants. Look, I'm an immigrant myself, but you help a lot of people that come from third world countries, from Mexico, Honduras, whatever it may be, and you help them out. And a lot of people, this is one thing I always say, and I'll go back to the boxing world, Piolín, like Mayweather. A lot of people hate Mayweather or people don't know who he really is as a person. But I known him personally because he has helped me personally in my life. And I don't have to go into details, but I know that he has helped and donated a lot of money to a lot of immigrants, people that couldn't afford for surgery. And I know that you've done a lot of charitable, and people don't need to know your personal or don't need to know that part of your life. But now that we're here, share a little bit stories about us, Billy, that you are kind of like the backbone of, I believe, the backbone of those people that don't have a voice, and you're there speaking for them that you want to help. And you motivate them that, hey, venimos acá a trabajar, get on your horse and let's go.
yeah. So when I was the phrase "A qué venimos Estados Unidos a triunfar" was born in on the 5 freeway. I was coming from Sacramento. I was coming down from Sacramento, um, and I remember one of the hills before Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
Up,
Grapevine.
yes, up there. I remember that I was really sad because I was gonna get deported because they found out that I was even in Sacramento. They found out that I was undocumented, and I remember that I was like, man, looking at the sky during nighttime. Um, I was like, man, why we came to the United States? Why we here? I mean, we go through a lot of struggles. People that don't like us sometimes, we're different
Yeah.
people. Sometimes they don't agree with us. And I'm like, why we came here? And that's when the phrase was born. Venimos a triunfar.
Yeah.
So what are you waiting for? This is not gonna be the end of your career.
Yeah.
And I remember that. That's when I said, you know what? I'm gonna use that
From now on.
phrase from now on. And that's when I started like Now that we have a segment, I love the segment that Kevin a Triunfar. We have a segment where we give the opportunity to small business people, like, man, woman that works cleaning houses,
They're struggling there.
apartments, offices.
Yeah.
We give the opportunity to people that makes, you know, taquizas
Yeah.
for parties, um, landscapers, small companies. And so we give the opportunity. They send me like a 20 seconds video saying, Piolín, I want to participate in a Kevin Venimos a Triunfar.
Yeah.
And at the end, brother, one of the things that I love about that segment is that after I listen to their story, how they came to the United States, how they have their own business, even though sometimes they're only self-employment.
Yeah.
You know, he's the only employer, and but that's the way you start. The
Yeah.
big companies, that's the way they start. One person.
Because you have that vision.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes you don't have enough money, and you have to work yourself 24/7 to be able to create your own company. So the stories that I listened on that segment from my listeners, brother, they motivate me every day. And what I like is when they tell me the story, how they came to the United States, and then how they started their own company, or singers, comedians. Um, I have that segment for people that wants to show us what kind of company they have.
Yeah.
So at the end, what I like is when we give away their phone number, so people can hire them,
Yeah.
brother, to see the smile
Yeah.
of my listener saying, Piolín, they're calling me right now. A lot of people.
It's amazing. I get the chills.
That is, brother, the best gift of my life on the show.
Yeah.
Because you should see the faces, brother. Because I do it live on the radio and I do it on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to see their faces.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we understand that, I do it through Instagram because I want to use the platform because I'm grateful, to
Well,
God. And,
well,
and,
God put
to-
you there for a
brother,
reason.
there was a reason. And that's that if without God, I would not be here.
Yeah.
And I had to give credit to God, because all the credit, because He's the one that really,
Makes
guides
everything
me,
happen.
and He opened those roads. And I believe that, when I listen to those, my listeners, man, it's amazing to see their faces. And you know why they're so grateful? After that, they receive so many phone calls. Most of the people, they send you a message saying, Piolín, I cannot believe how many people that are calling me. The response of action of
Yeah.
making their phone ring, it's amazing, brother. I mean, people like, Piolín, I remember that you helped my mom. She sells tamales, and she got so many phone calls, and she's so busy, with so many orders of tamales. And I'm like, man. Sometimes with the struggles that
That people go
there's
through.
there's something else that's gonna come out better.
Yeah.
A que venimos a triunfar was in a moment that it was so hard for my life. And now I can use that phrase, that segment, and me right now with some of the younger people,
Yeah.
younger audience, you know what they say? Piolín, I started listening to you since my dad was taking me to school.
Wow.
And now I keep listening to you because my dad says, remember what Piolín says, a que venimos a Estados Unidos a triunfar. Do not forget that. It's amazing how a
Yeah.
phrase, man,
It
they
sticks
can apply in
into
their life, and they stays
to the
right in
heart.
the heart, man.
Well, see, I would consider you the American dream because I love this country. I'm from Honduras. I was born in Honduras, right? And my dad came here first and then brought us, me and my sister and my mom. And I was involved in gangs. I didn't, when I was young, I was involved in gangs. And if it wasn't for Joe Goosen, that, you look, we always say, well, my parents were never, no, my parents were always there. I just chose to go the wrong route. But Joe Goosen, who's been my teacher, my mentor, who got me out of the streets, gave me the American dream to think like, what are you here for? He told me, hey, I'm gonna take some time off. I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna leave the gym to you. I didn't know. I go, okay. But I started working now. I have to be in the gym. Yeah. And the American dream, Papachon, is what you present to the people that are coming from other countries. And when you talk about that, I go, okay, now I understand what is the American dream. You want to work hard. I busted my whole life in that gym since I was 13 years old. And to this day, now I have a barbershop. I'm not saying I'm a multi-millionaire, you know what I mean? But to me, it's a success story because
Yes.
where you come from, you started 17 years old. Okay, I got to come here to do something. Now you're one of the biggest jockeys, biggest radio hosts, personalities in the United States. Papachon, I mean, that's American dream that you are living.
Yeah, but you don't have to think about you already made it, bro. I think
You got to keep going.
when you already say that, you're done, bro. You have to every day work like the first and the last day, bro. And you have to have. I always say, if you're not hungry,
Yeah,
you're done.
they're done.
You have to be hungry. You have to be creative. You have to figure out ways to get into where you want to go. Even right now, bro. There's so many challenges, that sometimes it happens in life, and you have to figure out to get out from that hold, from that challenge, from that trial, bro. You have to do it every day, bro. There's not life is not easy.
It's like here, I was trying to call. I go, when I saw you at the press conference, like I go, Piolín, can you come to my show? You said, oh yeah, Papachon, yeah. That melted my heart because just like you just said right now. I mean, look, I want to have different avenues, different ways to do so. I'm not making money doing this talk show with you. I'm not doing no money. But you never know. Someday, hey Ricky, remember? Ricky's doing his own podcast now. He's big. I had Papachon. I had this person. I'm trying to think like what you just said right now, Papachon. You can never stop. You got to keep going. Boxing is my life. That's what I love doing. But I want to have different avenues to reach out to people because remember, I was a troubled youth. I was involved in gangs, and I have kids here that I want to help. But sometimes I see them and they don't want to help themselves, Papachon. You know, I try to help, but they don't want to help themselves.
Yeah, but don't stop,
No, 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 no,
helping. Because,
not at
brother,
all.
some of the people, they're going to be so grateful to you, brother. And the younger people, sometimes they don't understand. We were young.
Yeah,
We didn't
exactly,
understand.
exactly.
When your dad used to tell you, like, hey, go around,
No vengas para acá.
or don't go there, don't surround yourself with those kind of people.
Yeah,
You don't understand. You think, like, oh, my dad, come on, he's an old timer. He doesn't understand that this is my time when I'm young. We didn't understand that. So sometimes we have to be patient with the young adults because they don't understand. We have to be patient with them and keep working with them, talking to them, telling them, what, I
plant the
already went
seed.
through that. So I'm telling you because I already went through that.
Yeah,
You can have other mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes that I did, or don't make the same mistakes that you did, or other
yeah.
people. Learn from other people's mistakes so you don't
Now
have to
your
repeat
own.
those mistakes. And then you're gonna learn from your own too, but it's gonna be a different ones.
Yeah,
And that's part of life, bro. It's a process of life that you have to keep learning. And like I said, if you have this platform, use it, brother. Why not?
yeah,
You have to use it, Babuchon.
yeah,
Other people does it. Why can you do it? What
yeah.
stop you?
You gotta
You
keep
got
going
everything
forward.
here. Look at what an amazing studio.
Thank you.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's important to always tell the people about your podcast and all the opportunities that you have, because people is looking for opportunities.
Yeah,
And when they meet you, they can ask you, "Hey, how do you do it? How do you do it, man?"
yeah.
Now you're an instrument for other people.
That's it. Wow. And Papachon, and going to where you were at, and we were talking about you being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
People that see that, me seeing that, the people, La Raza seeing that, okay, what is that? What is the Hall of Fame? Because you come from the story coming at 17, 16 years old from Mexico. Your dad brought you. You're in Santa Ana, you're in Irvine, you're going to San Jose, Sacramento, now back to LA, and now you have your radio station. In 2013, you get inducted to the to the Hall of Fame of radio. What you saying, radio?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because I look today. I found out. I go, what is the Hall? It's like boxing. I go Hall of Fame. Okay, it's interesting. How was that joy for you when you came from Mexico? Didn't know, didn't have papers, and you're an American. Because I know you became a U.S. citizen the same year I became a U.S. citizen in 2008. I became a U.S. citizen the same year. You know that after spending 2 years in prison, they wanted to deport me. Hey, yeah, it's something that a mistake that I made, but I learned, and I got it in 1998, and then they told me you have to wait 5 years to become a U.S. citizen, and I go, he became a citizen the same year I became a U.S. citizen, and I was so proud to say I'm an American. You know that?
Yes, me too, bro. You know what? We are so blessed to be in this animation nation, bro. We're so blessed, bro.
Yeah.
We have to take care of the United States. This is our home.
Yes.
This is our home. We need to take care of this amazing United States, because man, we have so many opportunities, brother. And the Hall of Fame came to my life, but I believe that it's good, Papuchon, to have those blessings of the awards
Of
and
course.
nominations, like at the Radio Hall of Fame. But it's because we don't work for that.
Correct. Correct.
We work for because we have passion, of what we do.
Yeah.
But those awards come into your life that you were not expecting it. I was not expecting that, and I was like, man, I was with so many American fans, like the guy that just passed away a few months ago, Larry King.
Larry King. Okay.
Larry King was there, and I'm like,
Really?
wow. And I admire Larry King because I used to watch him, and I'm like, wow, Larry King is here in front of me. Wow. When I was at the ceremony and all that, I couldn't believe it. I said, man, only the Lord can do this,
Yeah.
you know? And that's why, everything what we do is, I mean, I think most of the people that comes to the United States, I don't think we do it for getting a reward. You just
You
focus.
just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah.
When that comes, that's amazing, man. We have to be grateful for that.
That's a plus.
Yeah, that's like, man, I didn't know that
Yeah.
I can become, part of the Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice one. I have an amazing time. Actually, I took some of the listeners with me
Wow. Really?
to experience, because that's what I like it, bro. You know what? When I came to the United States, I didn't have the chance in Mexico to go to a game, one of the Clásico Chivas América
Mm-hmm.
in Jalisco.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the opportunity, when I was in LA too, I was invited by Jorge Vergara,
Yeah.
who passed away, from the owner of Chivas. And I said, can I take some of my listeners with me that they don't have the experience just like me? And that moment I remember, we used to get into the taxi, taxi cab, and in Guadalajara. And it was amazing to have my listeners next to me and experience the same dream that I had with them.
Yeah.
Like when I did Beverly Hills, Chihuahua,
Yeah.
we invite to us in the Muppets some of the listeners from agriculture, from Bakersfield, Fresno, Chicago. Because the producer asked me,
Who you want?
what do you want? And I said, you know what? I would like my listeners to experience walking on the red carpet.
Wow.
And he's like, let me see what I can do. I said, that
That's
would be
amazing.
amazing, man. That would be amazing to
Have people
ask my
experience that.
listeners, hey, you guys would like to go with me on the red carpet, with all the stars that are going to be there, And then the producer came to me and said, it's a done deal. So I was so happy, watching my listeners coming up from the limousine,
Yeah.
from the limousine. And man, people like just looking around, just like me, man.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck is going on after seeing on TV, the red carpets and all that, amazing movies.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And watching my listeners' faces there.
The expression,
I
everything.
mean, that I mean, people that works in there was some family I remember. I think it was Bakersfield or Fresno, and work on the agriculture area, and they were like the same. I cannot believe we're here. I said, me too. And those are the things that I love, bro. You know, that's one of the rewards that I love to see. You know, like when we go
People's
to
faces, their emotion, how
yes, like when we go to Las Vegas to one of the boxing
events.
events, brother, and you take winners with you.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Papuchon. I love to see them there.
Well, I always, every time I see you at any event, I always see you with a great smile. Look, people don't know what we go through in life.
No,
Like I didn't know about your father. It's heartbreaking. And I had spoken to you already before that. I didn't know that you went through. Sometimes we walk around. Like I always tell my fighters or some people, I come in sad sometimes to my gym, but I don't take it out on them. I don't have to show. I always see you at any event with a happy smile, Papachon. And I know we all go through personal stuff in our life, but we don't. People don't need to know that as well. What I'm saying, but the way you show is like you bring a joy. When I see you, when I saw you on Tuesday at the press conference, Papa John, it puts a smile. I
it
get up right away because it's
man,
joyful, to see that happy face. That I I was probably going through a bad day that day. Hey, Papa John, you put a smile on my face, and it makes everything go away. Just imagine what you go through with your people. It's like one thing you said earlier when you got inducted into to the Hall of Fame. To you, maybe the people saying this is our appreciation to you because when you will bring donuts to your people, hey, it's just my appreciation. Thank you.
correct,
Because I do that sometimes to people, not because I'm trying to kiss ass, not because I'm trying to on the lambiscon. No, it's just I want to thank you.
correct.
Because I invite people to, hey, come with me to the fight. I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I want my appreciation. Thank you
Yes,
for what you have done for me.
yeah. I think the word grateful, you cannot lose it. It has to be part of you
Yeah.
through your whole life. You have to be grateful
Yeah.
because when you stop being grateful, I mean, come on,
It's over.
no, brother, you need to be grateful. I mean, I'm still, like, I'm grateful that I'm here. Thank you so much for inviting me, brother.
No, thank
I'm
you.
grateful, brother, that I'm here because you always, always scream like Papuchan and like Tuesday, brother. I was happy to see you there. I was
I
like,
was
man,
happy too.
I'm so happy to see him. And there's several people, when you see them,
You
you are
put a
really
smile on your
happy.
face.
You smile,
Yeah.
and those are the things that you cannot really
It's
stop doing
priceless,
that.
I say. It's priceless.
It is, brother. It is priceless,
Priceless.
man. Because it's a great opportunity to be at the Canelo press conference and see great people there, and we're here, to help each other. And I'm just trying to look for different opportunities too for my listeners so they can go and join that fight,
Yeah.
there. And I like say after that, man, our people was like, hey, Piolín, if you're gonna be in Vegas, so let's go eat here, let's go that. It's
Yeah.
amazing, brother, to see them smile. And I'm like, Lord, thank you so much for doing that, because that's
Yeah.
you're the one who made it.
Yeah. Well, Papachon, it was an honor for you taking your. I know you're busy. It was an honor for you to come in. I starting this podcast by myself and my friend Christian, and I'm really grateful that you came. Where do my followers follow you or listen to you in the morning? Because I'm sure a lot of them are going to be very intrigued. Like, oh, okay, who is this guy now? You know, they want to put a face behind El Piolín.
See,
They want to say, okay, now
yes.
we see this. Where do they follow you? Where do they follow you, Papachon?
Oh, you guys can follow me on Instagram at El Show de Piolín, or we have, the radio show. And then after that, we put the show on the podcast, elshowdepiolin.com. And please, if you guys have any business too, please let me know. Send me a video with 20 seconds of what you do, like saying, hey, Piolín, I would like to participate on the segment A que venimos a triunfar a Estados Unidos. And I will be so happy to receive your videos and put you on the air on my radio show because that's amazing thing to do when you are sometimes struggling through life. Sometimes you don't have a lot of clients for your business, like painters or landscapers. please, or singers and comedians. Hey guys, you guys have a Piolín platform? Use it. It's your platform, not mine.
And what's the radio station again,
Oh,
Piolín?
in LA is Jose 97.5 FM and 107.1 FM. This is in LA, and from here we just you can find your own local station in the webpage elshowdepiolin.com. That's where we put all the stations, the whole nation, and like in Dallas we have 107.5 FM. So in different cities it's a different dial, like San Diego, Tijuana. So just go there, guys, and please use the platform. This is yours, because that segment is one of the, after the prank calls and jokes and interview different personalities. But the segment of Kevin Triunfar is one of the best segments that I love because you guys are the stars.
Awesome. Piolín, thank you so much, brother.
No, thank you,
Yeah,
Papuchón.
Papachón, this was amazing.
Congratulations,
man.
vato.
Ah, this was
¿A qué
amazing.
venimos, Estados
A
Unidos?
triunfar.
Eso es todo, Papuchón.